Hey folks, Jonathan here. Okay, we have done nothing else to this besides when we ground it off to get our measurement. We did get our DOM tubing in, and when I say DOM I mean drawn over mandrel. There's no weld seam on this tubing, and this is 1 inch, and I've got this tool in to roll it. Bought used on eBay, and it's nice to have these tools anyway. I'll have a pretty nice set time I'm done. I think this is my number 4, but I've got to loosen up the set screw and then tighten this down because this one's made to inset and we need to just do the edge. So of course what this does is it works like it's supposed to. Our pipe should slide in, this goes in, and then we actually roll the tube and it expands it out. Once it expands it out, we'll go through and hammer this, and then after that we will re-roll it again and be done with it. All right. Okay folks, first thing we're going to do is to take the torch and we're going to slice that so we can relieve the pressure on it, because it's expanded out, so we need to compress it down. Well, we can cut it and that'll let it compress down on its own, and then we'll do the bottom side, and then we can take something and hopefully hammer that out of there without having to fight it. Don't ever buy one of them Chinese torches. Just don't work that well. Alright, I think we found our problem already. Where's that? Right there. I think that's our hole. Okay folks, you can see how far I cut it with the torch to get it out. And then you can see our hole there. So I'm sure that's gotten worse when I started beating on it and trying to get it out. But there is our thin spot. And I'm sure the other ones has probably got some thin spots, but none of them were leaking, so I think we're okay. There's the other end that we torched. So it's always nice when you cut both the ends on the same tube and not make a mistake and screw that up. So we got our pipe slid in. It slides in pretty easy. It's got a little bit of play, but it don't matter. When you expand it out, it's going to tighten up. So what we have to do now, we'll clean it up, clean up around the hole and in the holes, and then we are going to get a good measurement on this and cut this thing a 1/4 inch longer than we need, and that's going to leave an 1/8 inch out on each end. And I've come to the conclusion that that's about what we want on most of these, and it seems to work out. So Don't go any more than 1/8. You can probably get by with a little bit less, but we're going to go 1/8. And then we'll start rolling it in and getting it tightened up. And then once we get that done, we'll go ahead and start hammering it around. Once we get hammered around, we'll go ahead and roll it again to expand it out. So, all right, let's get at it. I'll get it cut. All right, folks, here's the best way to measure it. Run it all the way through and hook it the other end. It looks at it's just a little bit under 29.5. What do you think, Danny? 29.5? Anyway, we'll be close enough there if we go 29 3/4. And this end, right there. Right there. So we're good to go. All right, folks. 1/8 inch on this end. 1/8 inch on this end. Come on, there you go. So the only problem is this is sort of tapered. So it's not flat, it's tapered like this. So it's going to be protruding out a little bit more on this side than the other side when it comes to, you know, rolling it with the 1/8 inch. But I mean, it really don't matter. Once we get it rolled, it's not going to move. So that's our next step. Okay, folks, the worst part of rolling this thing in is to actually hold the tube and keep it from moving while you get one end of it done. Once it tightens up on one end, it's not going to spin or move or anything. But we got to do the one end first. So we'll try to hold the other end and then reach and do that end. Maybe that's done. Now let's see if we can tap it up. Alright, I think I got it tightened up enough that it won't move. So let's try to take it out. Well, that tightened it up. Now it ain't moving. That's good. And we're good on the length. So let's see if it'll tap a little tiny bit. There we go. I'm happy with that. Got her now. We got her now. I like it. All right. So the only thing I seen that I didn't like, which really didn't matter, because we're only expanding this for about, I don't know, 3/8 of an inch maybe. So when I did this end, my expander was hitting this, not going in all the way. But I can still reach in there and feel where it went to, and it's still 1.5 inches in. So, and I'll show you what I mean. So you run into new stuff all the time, and this just happened to be the first time I'd ran into this. So our expander goes in, and as you can see, it hits that rivet. But that is plenty enough length to expand it what we needed to expand it. So, and we're not bottomed out on our expander. So our expander will go that much more farther in, so we know we've got the right tool for the job, because if it went clear to the bottom and then it wouldn't expand no more, then we'd have an issue. So these are, it's expanded fine right now. So now I've got to start doing the hammering around it, fold it over it like the other ones. And then once that's done, we can start getting this thing back together for hydro testing. Okay, so here's my end that I ground and made. This thing don't want to focus good, but anyway, we're going to go ahead and start on this side. I do have an air leak, as you can hear, and no, I'm not going to fix it before I work. And I turn my air on and off when I need it. So got to shorten the hose up about 2 foot to fix it, but that's okay. I can live with it. So if you're one of them ones that get bothered by air leaks, sorry. Put the safety glasses on. All right, we're going to do the other end, and I may come back and tighten this end up a little bit more. But you see how it works. Let me jump on the other end. Okay folks, we're welded back on the base. We've got it around. We're actually putting water in it now. I tried to hydro test it, and I was going to try to do everything in this video, but I think we're going to put this one on, and then we'll do a third video with the firing and all that good stuff, and that way they don't get too darn long. And shouldn't take too long. We'll be testing this in a few minutes. All right. I'm going to have to do something different next time, a hand pump or something, because I did it again. Except the difference is this time is we don't have any leaks, so it didn't lose the pressure. So I'm going to try to get this unhooked here and get the pressure down a little bit. So we're over 200 psi right now. All right. Okay, folks, I'm going to change this valve out because we're having trouble getting it to shut off completely, and that's what's going to make our pressure go down. So let me change this valve out real quick, and then we're going to try her again. All right. Okay, folks, new rule for me: I will no longer use a pressure washer on a tiny boiler. That's what we're sitting at, and it's been there for quite a while, so we know it holds really good pressure. I should not be testing it at that high pressure, but what do you do? So it's not leaking down at all, and yeah, definitely not smart to do. So from now on, I'm actually going to build a hand pump for this boiler, and I've got a little engine that I'm going to use, the little 1860s marine engine that I had put together and built. So we'll use it, and we'll probably mount this on its own cart. So I think this would be a good boiler for that little engine. It's crazy that it'll sit there and hold that much pressure, and it's a lap same, so at least that makes me feel confident with firing it, that it's not going to, you know, blow up on us. Because if I hadn't blowed it up already in my face, then, and like I said, it's got water in it, and that's the reason that we're doing this. If this thing exploded right now, it'd get me wet. Probably not going to hurt me. You know, it would split open, do whatever, and then the water would shoot out. If that was steam, completely different story. And air is the same way. It compresses. The water don't compress, so it's only, you know, it's not really going to go anywhere. Tube held up just fine, no problems there. And this is just water where I, you know, unhooked, and it's not, you know, leaking anywhere at all. So as you can see, it's still up. So. And I'd leave it up, you know, 15 minutes or so, and I think it's probably been, since I've done it, 10 minutes. I had a hard time getting it unhooked here because even with the pressure washer cut off, I couldn't get the pressure to drop between this and the handle. So what I ended up doing was taking the nozzle apart, and that way it would relieve the pressure in here, and then I could take it off. And our problem was with the other valve, it was leaking fast and it was dropping pressure because this is so small of a boiler, and there's so, you know, there's not a lot of water in it. There's really no air. So if I just barely crack this open, it's going to drop down. I mean, it's not going to take anything to drop it down. So for it to sit there and hold that pressure like that, as long as it's held it, really is amazing. I mean, that tells you that, you know, there's virtually no leaks on this thing. We'll cut it off here, cut down here, so you can see what I'm talking about the pressure. It's not going to take anything to drop it. There you go. You see how fast it drops. So, shot down quick. So anyway, I'm going to probably pump it back up, and I'm just going to leave it overnight, and that way I can see what it looks like in the morning. And I'm not going to take it up to 200. I'm going to figure out something here so I don't do that. Like I said, a hand pump for the small stuff. I've never had that issue with the bigger boilers. Learning a real good lesson here. And I'm beginning to think maybe this is probably a 1 horsepower boiler, not even a 2. So anyway, but that's that. No leaks. Ready to plumb it up, paint it, put everything on. I got to get our tricox, and our pressure relief valve will be here tomorrow for 80 psi. Appreciate everybody watching, and I wanted to say this too also. I don't really know what I'm doing when it comes to this. When it, what I'm getting at is, I hadn't been trained or anything on it, so I'm doing it my way. And I know that there's probably people that work on boilers that, are just, thinking I'm a nut or whatever, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. They're probably not that good at record drivers, but they're operators. Anyway, don't take this as a, teaching you how to do it. This is just showing you how I do it. And, you might want to get a hold of a professional or somebody that knows more about it than I do, and then we'll go from there. But so far, this has been working out fine, and I'm sure this is the way they've done it in the old days. And I know things change, processes change, and the worry of blowing up changes because just the way it is. But even lapsing boilers, everybody's scared of them, but I just run it up to over 200 pounds and no problem. So I'm sure that this would run no problem with 120 psi. But like I said, pressure relief valve at 80 will never run over that. Should last, should be good, shouldn't have any problems. So if I decide I want to sell it, I feel confident in it not blowing up on anybody. And I'd still, like I said, don't believe nothing you're told when it comes to a boiler. I bought one that was supposed to have been tested at 100, and it wouldn't even hold water. So there's no way you could have ever tested 100 psi because you couldn't get water in it to hold 100 psi. So, and a lot of times people forget. In other words, it may have tested at 100 psi, but it could have been 20 years ago. So time flies, and we all like to shorten time up a little bit. I drove that car and I ran that car 5 years ago, and turns out it was really 25 years ago. So you get that a lot. But, all right, I'll quit rambling, and I appreciate everybody watching. And the only reason I showed this all is because I had some people that mentioned that they wanted to see it, the process of putting it in. So there you go. All right, until next time. Bye.